the message that I was sent was, what did the animals eat once they got off the ark?
Each other.
But there are only two of them.
No, that was they actually brought a bunch of Eucharistic crackers along, and they broke into that.
We can use any excuse that works. I mean, somebody told me that what they had was that the Noah's Ark actually had everything kept in embryonic stages in cryogenesis. And that they, artificially implanted them in the 7 clean animals, regardless of where we're talking about dinosaurs or what have you, because they can't have anything that didn't make it, because the Bible said everything made it. So if you want to make excuses for the unicorns, you can't say that the unicorns didn't get it. You can't say that Noah didn't get it, because God said he was going to bring them, and that includes the mosasaurs, because they have breath of life. So why were there not mosasaurs on the ark, and why don't they exist now?
You know, this proves that Noah was an alien, and that he had like cloning chambers, and that, or maybe Noah wasn't the alien. That the voice in his head was probably a telepathic alien. Cloning technology and wooden reinforcement capabilities, a whole phaser shield thing. I don't know.
If I may put a face on this thing real quick, just to give you an idea of the type of person we are dealing with. I was having a discussion with an individual who, we were talking about dinosaurs, and he goes, "But wait, dinosaurs are still alive." And I go, "Wait, what? What do you mean? Like, give me an example of an animal alive today that's a dinosaur." And he said, "A giraffe." Because they're so tall and look like brontosauruses. I mean, that's the type of person that we're dealing with here, just to give you an example. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll never forget that.
I've heard...
So Idiocracy was a documentary, then?
I've heard St. Hoven suggest that the animals on the ark survived by going into hibernation. I mean, how more batshit crazy do you need to get?
And what if there was a gay animal on the ark?
Well,
I mean, animals can be gay. That would kind of ruin some things, wouldn't it?
Don,
animals can't be gay.
You're talking about gayness, just have a look at the poll. 100 people have voted now, and it's overwhelming. You are...
There are gay penguins, I'm just saying. There could be...
Mike, are you with us?
I've seen there are a lot of versions about how the Noah's flood have happened. The Bible is supposed to say that the process was that it was supposed to rain for 40 days and 40 nights, or whatever it was, and it's supposed to be a soft process. Today's creations will tell you that was this massive burst of water that shot into the moon, like Nephilim 3 would say. And we would carve like things like the Grand Canyon, something violent like that, and very catastrophic. And one thing that puzzles me is, with such a magnitude of force involved, how could an ark, even if made from titanium, how could it possibly survive? I think it's
a very good question, and one of the clips that I used in my promotional video had a video of the flood that is apparently displayed at some creationist museum, and as you rightly say, it shows enormous amounts of water splitting open, shooting out from the mid-Atlantic seams and whatever, and effectively, a huge tsunami covering the whole planet, and even Nephilim himself will say that it actually restructured some of the continents. And you rightly say, well, if it's got the force to do that, how did it gently raise up this gopher-wood boat and keep it all safe and tidy? I mean, it's crazy. 64%, that's all I can say. Aaron, do you want to...
If I could remind you guys of just one more thing. Again, for all of you who do not reside in the United States, and especially those who do not reside in Texas or places like here, as I mentioned to some other people yesterday, here we define a megachurch as having 2,000 or more people. All the megachurches in the Dallas area are creationist, and we have dozens of them, over 2,000 people each. Some of them 7, some of them more thousands than that. So we have some megachurches here that look like major skyscrapers. They're enormous. We have churches here that literally are reconditioned stadiums for sporting events. They're that big. And all of these people are creationists, and all of these people are led to believe in the flood. None of them give it any thought. They're all prohibited from giving it any thought. And I want you to think about the fact that we have somewhat less than 600 people watching this show. And at this moment, we have how many tens of thousands of people in how many dozens of churches just in the one city that I live in that all believe in the ridiculousness of the story that we're talking about right now.
Okay, I'd just like to leave you with another question, but if you want to go forward.
No, please do.
Given that we can poke holes in these theories, and they can always come up with some new excuse to justify the Noah's flood. How exactly would you nail the point to someone that, given that they can always come up with a new outlandish theory?
If I may, I'm sorry. I know I've spoken probably over my share already. My argument against this was that it is a contradiction of Scripture, because God says that He is, He implies at least that He is omniscient. Of course, He has to keep asking people questions as if He doesn't know in various places in the Bible. And He's supposed to know the future in all of this, and He's supposed to have made all these things perfect. And yet, how soon was it before He says, I don't like these people, they're too loud and obnoxious, so I'm going to kill everybody. And because I couldn't see this coming, so I'm going to wipe out everything, because I can't just poop them out of existence and poop better ones in place, and I can't effect any other change. I can make things happen that nobody can explain because I work in mysterious ways, but in this instance, I can't come up with a better plan than one that takes a year and destroys everything and is inexplicable and can only destroy the faith of anybody who tries to think about this for more than 2 minutes. This is my plan. Kill everybody, because I'm a good God.
Though you always get the same response, which is, you can't know the mind of God. The mind of man is inferior to the mind of God. Therefore, you cannot know what He wanted.
But the very next event after the flood is, like you mentioned, Noah gets naked and curses his son to be the servant of the other two. But then immediately after that is the Tower of Babel, and then immediately following that is Sodom and frickin' Gomorrah. Right? So the order of events, obviously, whatever he came up with here to kill all the global genocide, it didn't work. It didn't have a dent.
Well, I mean, I agree with you, Concordance, and you have to ask, how many attempts are you going to give this blundering idiot? He creates everything, he stands back from it and says all was good. Well, it clearly wasn't, because he put a serpent in a tree in the Garden of Eden. Everything went pear-shaped from a very early stage. So then he floods everything, cleans the slate, and tries again. He fails. Then he sends his son down to try and clear up the mess, because obviously he's too embarrassed to turn up himself and do it. It still fails. So now we look forward to him burning us all to death in the rapture. I mean, people praise this incompetent buffoon.
No, why should you be
You're giving it too much credit. You're giving it too much credit, because you got to remember the Tower of Babel actually existed. The foothills of it still exist, but it was invented by Hammurabi. Much of the stories of Moses are actually attributed to Hammurabi. Okay, there's an element of truth in some of these stories. I mean, some of these events, it's just like Indiana Jones, okay? I mean, Indiana Jones shows Germany, and it shows a moment where there's Hitler, and we know that there was a Germany, we know that there was a Hitler, and that proves that there was an Indiana Jones, right? I mean, all these stories come from other stories, and they're adapted, and they're exaggerated to death, and then, as I said, you get to these points where these people say, okay, now you have to believe it. You have to make yourself believe it. It's make-believe. This is pretend, and it isn't honest.
And if I may answer your... Go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm done.
If I may answer your question, Mike, I prefer the method of just using physical evidence and basically stating, look, not only is there no evidence to support it, there are mountains of evidence to contradict it. I mean, there are plenty of pathogens, syphilis. Things like that can only exist in human beings. So did Noah and his family all have syphilis? If they did, then... but if they didn't, and if they didn't have syphilis, then syphilis evolved. Because it has to be in a host to live, in a human host to live. So I mean, you know, there are so many variations and things like that. You could point out, what about koala bears who only have certain types of diets? You know, they can only eat eucalyptus leaves. So did Noah bring along eucalyptus trees and stuff? And then the biggest thing, how old is the oldest living tree? It's like 5,000 years old, right? 5,000 to 6,000 years old, a living tree, a tree still alive today. So that tree, which is still, tree which is still alive, was buried underwater for how long? Subject to all this death, buried under salt water, mind you. And it still lived, no problem. And not only does it survive, there's not even like a little notch or anything in it when it happened. I mean, you would expect to have some sort of issue with it. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's so many. To me, I get much more interest out of the scientific arguments than the scriptural one, because the scriptural ones are, they always end in, well, we'll agree to disagree, or God works in mysterious ways. They always end in that, but you can't argue science. And science doesn't change. It doesn't care what you think. It exists, regardless of what you believe. You don't have to believe in it, but it still happens.